Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about accent marks, or in Spanish, what's known as los acentos ortográficos. Okay, so in order to be able to use or be able to put accent marks over words correctly, we're going to need to be able to distinguish between four categories of words which exist in Spanish. We have agudas, llanas, esdrújulas, and sobre esdrújulas. So we're going to need to learn about these four words. Agudas are words where the strongest sounding syllable, or the sílaba tónica, as it's known in Spanish, falls on the last syllable of an aguda. So here we have some example. Tos, pan, robots, bebé, domino. And you'll notice that some of these agudas take an accent mark and others don't, and you'll see why in just a moment. So, agudas take an accent mark if they end with a vowel and or s. So, some examples are patán, además, bebé, and balcón. All of these words, the vowel of the last syllable takes an accent mark. The accent mark always falls on the vowel of a syllable. So patán, además, bebé, balcón. So the last syllable of these words has the most stress, and they end in an S. Agudas don't take an accent mark if they are monosyllabic. Tos, ya, pan. Some monosyllabic agudas may take, but in general they don't. Nor if they end with a diphthong, which is just two vowels stuck together, kakui, nanay, nor if they end in n or s preceded by another consonant, ps, rn. So this is what's known as a consonant cluster. If you have two consonants together, you do not have the accent mark with an aguda. The next category of word we have is llanas. For llanas, the strongest sounding syllable is the second to last, or what's known as la penúltima in Spanish. So some example of llanas are difícil, cara, cama, faltan, and casas. You can see that the first syllable sounds just a little bit stronger than the last. Casas, faltan, cama, etc. Llanas take an accent mark wherever they end in a consonant other than N or S, such as Bolivar or Cáncer. Llanas don't take an accent mark if they end in any other consonant besides N or S. Cáncer, hábil, cárcel, carácter. Llanas don't take an accent mark if they end in a vowel N or S. So we have crema, examen, orden. Right? Llanas also don't take an accent mark if they end in N or S preceded by another consonant. So we have bunkers, comics, records, forceps, posters, triceps. This case is infrequent and only occurs with words that have been assimilated from other languages, or that come from other languages. Esdrújulas and sobre esdrújulas. So this one is pretty straightforward. Esdrújulas, the strongest sounding syllable for an esdrújula is the third to last, or the antepenúltima in Spanish. Antepenúltima, sílaba antepenúltima. So some example of esdrújulas, we have the word esdrújula itself, esújula, espíritus, you can say espíritus, iritus, ámbito. For sobre esdrújulas, the strongest sounding syllable is the fourth to last, the preantepenúltima, as it's known in Spanish. So some examples of sobre esdrújulas: pásaselo, pásaselo. There's the última, the penúltima, antepenúltima, preantepenúltima. So 4 syllables total. Esdrújulas and sobre esdrújulas always take an accent mark. So whenever the third or the fourth to last syllable are the strongest in a word, you're going to see an accent mark. Another way to look at it, I really am wanting you guys to focus on these last two slides that I'm going to show. For words that end in vowels, an N or an S, in most cases, the second to last syllable is the strongest sounding. If this is not the case, we need an accent mark to alert Spanish speakers to this. So in general, Spanish speakers, whenever they see a word that ends in N, S, or a vowel, they're going to have a tendency to say the last syllable the strongest. Accent marks exist to avoid the case where a Spanish speaker would mispronounce a word. So, estudiantes, estudiantes, the second to last syllable is strongest. Maestros, ejecutivos, chocan, votan, soplan. In general, when you look at Spanish words, if they end in S, S, or a vowel, you're going to see that the second to last syllable is the strongest. Whenever they go against this rule, so for example, we have the words volcán, huracán, bebé, francés, esdrújula, right? So this one is, you can see that the strongest syllable in these first four words is the last syllable, so that goes against the rule, right? Second to last syllable is what usually happens, and here it's the third to last syllable. So these words need to get the accent mark. And the second part to this rule is when a word ends in another consonant besides N or S. So now we're talking about consonants other than N or S. The tonic syllable is usually the last syllable. And when this is not the case, we alert Spanish speakers to this by placing an accent mark over the strongest sounding vowel / syllable. So, some examples of words that follow this rule are regular Spanish words are procurar, right? Ar, afinar, abordar, cartel, altitud, astral, versus the words cárcel, árbol, césped, carácter, hábil, right? So in these first set of words, the strongest syllable is the last. And then in these other irregular words, it's either the second to last. I think all of these are on the second to last syllable. Okay? So that's what accent marks are for, is just so that Spanish speakers are pronouncing things correctly. And they can help you to pronounce things correctly too if you pay attention to the rules. These last two slides are really what I want you to be aware of. The only time that these two rules are going to fail you, I mean, you can use these rules. If you memorize these two, you don't have to memorize any of the previous slides. The only time that these rules will fail you is when you have words that end in diphthongs or words that end in consonant clusters. Again, that's words that have two vowels stuck together at the end or words that have two consonants stuck together at the end. And also some monosyllabic words do not follow these two rules. But these two rules are going to be rules that are very important for you to pronounce Spanish words correctly and to recognize in general how Spanish words should sound. Okay, so that is the presentation I have for you guys. Make sure you do the exercises, and then tomorrow in class we're going to be doing some group work and some more exercises just to make sure that you are understanding this material. Bye-bye.